GM. GM. So, looking at some of my trades here, Pepe, out of the three that I'm short, Pepe, Whiff, and Render, Pepe definitely the strongest. So I think that's the one I'll cut. Because Pepe's chart actually looks pretty good here. Now, when I say it looks good, I would expect that from here, it's the most likely to be able to have a spike into the highs. At which point, I probably still expect it to reject. But that would stop me out. My invalidation is like just up here. And it's definitely showing strength. And as we go down to the lower time frames and look at it from the bottom, there's been an increase in open interest as prices built up. Funding has remained neutral, flat. There's a spot premium. And on the CVDs, there's been more of a spot demand, as you can see. Spot consistently rising while purpose consistently selling. So Pepe actually looks decent from that perspective. And if I look at it here, from some of these breakdown levels, it had a consolidation over here, which broke, right? Consolidation, BOS, dropped down, chopped around below it, has reclaimed that, tried to go below it, back above it. So for me, Pepe is easily the strongest of those three. And so I don't see any need to continue holding Pepe open if the market's telling me that Pepe is stronger. So I would close my Pepe position and stick to the others, Render and Whiff. Render, I think, is showing more weakness here, finally. And although it's not, it's not like showing any major signs just yet, there is a topping pattern here where one push, two, three, these daily candles showing the wicks, showing the weakness. I think that there is a risk of just a spike up, but I'll be fairly confident that that's going to roll over eventually. You can see here where it is breaking the lower time frame structures, right? It's having some weakness at trying to hold these interim levels, pushed above, back below this level, pushing up on a weekend. But I don't think Render is really showing as anywhere near as much strength. What I see is this was the top of the momentum move. Had the first sell-off, got bought up, pushed higher, 1, 2, 3 pushes. You can see here if I zoom it in, a big build-up of open interest on the way up here. Liquidations fairly, not really telling much. Funding remains around neutral per premium, or spot premium remains. So I would say the thing holding Render up mostly is probably Nvidia and the overall AI rally, which I don't think is going to have much staying power, especially if the stock market is not able to sustain. And there's talk about Nvidia earnings on the 21st of May. Are they going to be weak? Are they going to be strong? I look at Nvidia itself and I think it's in consolidation here, near the highs. I think if there's going to be one more leg on Nvidia, it's going to come after consolidation. So I would expect that it might be able to push the highs, but I would expect that to reject, and it'd have to continue consolidating for a bigger run later in the year. If Nvidia goes from here, it's probably over, to be perfectly honest. If Nvidia just breaks out from there, that's probably the final push. And if you actually want to see a more sustained move in Nvidia, you probably want to see it build a base and be able to break out from it to have a more extended run. But yeah, I think expectations of AI are probably at a peak, right? When Nvidia went up to here in March and was just all the talk, everyone was hyped. AI was just everywhere. I don't think it's the top for AI bubble like overall. I think it's going to be like a decade long thing, but I don't think Nvidia is going to be the leader of that all the way. Far from it. So I'll continue holding uh, render for now, and then as for WIF, I see WIF as the weakest of the three, quite clearly, and I don't see a huge amount of strength here. I still think it's choppy, but it's going to make its way lower eventually, and probably down at least to the lows, if not to new lows. But they're all tentative. Like my Bitcoin shorts have been doing way better than the altcoin shorts. So alts continue to show this outperformance, and maybe I'll just find some really weak alts to short alongside Bitcoin. But I'm closing Pepe at about probably about a 0.2 hour loss, 0.25 hour loss. The other ones are still open and in profit. I will leave them and see how they go. Render is actually not. Render's in a slight loss. Render I'm in from 10.54. So render here is about the entry roughly. So it's slightly underwater. WIF is in profit. And we'll see how it goes from there. They've been really slow. That was my expectation when I first entered them. I said these are not short-term trades. They're probably multi-week swings. And I think the top is forming on them, right? Where you've a push, and you either get weakness, and that's render, or you get another push, and then you get weakness. Same as WIF. So could be too early on them. Depends on BTC. I suspect BTC is closer to actually breaking down than not, but we'll see. Bitcoin definitely weaker. What's Bitcoin dominance been doing? Yeah. Bitcoin dominance just after its spike on the 13th of April has been trending lower. So this was where the first collapse happened. And since then, Bitcoin has drifted lower, but so was Bitcoin dominance. So even though Bitcoin has shown clear weakness from going from 67 basically to 57, alts as a whole were outperforming. And that's not something that I think is bullish or healthy for the market as a whole. Stablecoin inflows have stalled out, right? That's now 3 weeks with no new stablecoin inflows net. So there's no new money coming in at the moment. Also, if you remember, the way stablecoin flows work is they actually peak after price. This is very, very, very common. If I put on a line chart, you'll see it. And if I overlay Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's price peaked in 13th of March and stablecoins kept flowing in. This is a very consistent pattern that happens. Right? Bitcoin's price peaked in November 21 and stables kept flowing in. Bitcoin's price peaked in April 21 and stablecoins kept flowing in. And even as stablecoins continued to flow in all the way through here, we saw a 50% collapse. So stablecoin market cap rising does not mean your coins can't go down. Far from it. And this is one of the biggest and most concerning divergences you should see. It means, in a very simple sense, all of these stables, which is 139 billion up to 140, there's 10 billion of stables that has flowed in since the top. And Bitcoin is significantly lower. Every altcoin is down from its highs. Every major, right? You know, there's no alts. There's no majors that are at their highs. So ETH is down. Sol is down. BNB has been doing better than most, but is still down. You know, other large caps, Cardano, obviously down horrendously. And even Pepe, although it's strong, it's still down. WIF, etc., 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 so on and so on. So stables keep flowing in, but price doesn't rise. That would be something that would give me pause for thought. So close Pepe, keeping render and WIF for now. Still lean short on Bitcoin, and we'll see how it goes. GM.